In the Federal Reserve's most recent policy meeting, China's COVID lockdowns were mentioned 8 times. The country's zero-COVID policy triggered near-total quarantines earlier this year across several major cities in an effort to contain the spread of the Omicron variant. Still, China has reported its first domestic cases of the highly contagious BA.5 subvariant, and overall COVID cases are rising at their fastest pace in nearly 2 months. Clearly, the Fed is aware whatever happens next in China could be a big deal for the U.S. economy. Chinese social media platforms are full of talk that another wave of lockdowns could be on the way. In Shanghai, where residents are still recovering after months of being stuck at home, a number of apartment blocks and neighborhoods are once again subject to restrictions. Macau, China's gambling hub, has seen over 1,500 confirmed COVID infections since mid-June, and temporarily closed casinos for the first time in over 2 years. The island is also prohibiting residents from leaving their homes except for essential activities. Casino operators including Las Vegas Sands, MGM, and Wynn are expecting to make no revenue in the near future. According to Tim Wee, an economist at Moody's Analytics, China's economic picture is, quote, very muddled, as data shows the lag effect of the citywide lockdowns. Most experts had rosy outlooks at the beginning of the year, but have since revised them significantly lower. China's economy saw a major slowdown in the second quarter of 2022 after its lockdowns. The country's GDP grew by just 0.4% compared with a year ago. Shanghai and Jilin, which experienced full lockdowns, saw their fiscal revenues slump by 52% and 79% respectively in April to May, compared with a year ago, according to Bank of America analysts. The impact of the lockdowns affected several major U.S. companies, including Apple and Tesla, which both faced supply chain issues in China. A second lockdown in Chinese manufacturing centers, whether full or partial, would stall the recovery of the global supply chain and give an additional upward push to prices paid by American industry and consumers. Observers are split on how severe the impact would be to the U.S. Some believe it would prove to be just a blip in America's economic recovery, but others, including the Fed, say it could reverse recent global supply chain improvements. Much depends on the Chinese government's adherence to its own zero-COVID policy. But most experts are in agreement that China's hospitalization and death rates are not rising in a way that would justify more citywide lockdowns. Brendan Ahern, Chief Investment Officer at China-focused ETF provider CraneShares, believes the government will likely go with a more moderate and targeted approach to future lockdowns. Ahern says, quote, "The cost of the Shanghai lockdown showed that there's a very significant economic consequence to having a blanket response." He adds that the Chinese government is very dialed into public sentiment, and Shanghai's citizens have no desire to repeat a full lockdown.